Hello, everybody, and welcome to Kotlin Thursdays. I'm Ben Rodriguez, the API champion. Today I'm going to go over a few more Kotlin Koans to continue our series for Kotlin Thursdays. It's going to start with, I've already opened up my proxy, or my IDE to the Kotlin Koans starter pack. And in case anyone's wondering, this is from the EduLearn plugin, and it takes you right through Kotlin Koans. And if you need more information about that, feel free to check out the first part of this video. This is a continuation of that, so feel free to check out in the channel, and it is right there. So let's start out. This is the first set, or the number 4 in the Kotlin Koans. There's 42 in total. So we're going to go over probably about 4 or 5. Try to get about 15 minutes worth of content in here. So this first one is default arguments, and this is the layout it gives you. So we're trying to figure out, there are several overloads of foo in Java. So, for instance, public string foo is a string name, int number, boolean to uppercase, and you can see the corresponding code in Kotlin is right here on the left side. So then you're trying to look at public string. Thank you, IntelliJ. They're trying to show you a public string, foo, name, int number. You return foo, and you give me a name, a number, and the number is false. Or we're overloading the boolean, and so it is false. So then the next one is public string, foo, string name, boolean to uppercase. This means we're going to uppercase it. So the name, so we sent it a name, we sent it an integer, and we said to uppercase. So whatever we send here, we're going to send it back in uppercase. So, and then the following one, yeah, the name and then the string. So then all these Java overloads can be replaced with one function in Kotlin. Change the declaration of the function foo in a way that makes the code using foo compile. Use default and named arguments. This was, for me, it was kind of confusing because I was like, well, what's default and named? And like then arguments. So then I click on the link and you're taken to here. So I'm looking here. So here's named arguments right here. So function parameters can be named when calling functions. This is very convenient when a function has a high number of parameters or default ones. So in this case, you have a string, which is a string, a normal case boolean. So all in normal case is going to be true. This is a default. Divide by name by camel humps, true is false, word separator char. So these are different aspects of this named arguments, and these are named variables. So then we went up to default arguments, which is right here. And this one, it tells me that when the function starts, like we can declare the function, or we can declare the variables in the function or the arguments, and then we can also declare a default value, which is cool because in Java and the different languages, you have to go and do some setters and getters. But here it looks like within Kotlin, we can just do this automatically on the fly. So looking here, I see that, so what are we trying to turn? So we're saying that 42 is an int, so that is the number here. So I gotta check out the argument again. What is 42's int? So just put equals. So, oops. Shut up, Kotlin. And then to uppercase, it's boolean. So we know that is false. So I will put another equals. And then that should make this function work. Yes, thank you. So let's run a check. Candy dandy check. Come on, test. Come on, pass. I don't know if you guys, but I'm always crossing my fingers every time yeah. Yes. So and then this one we can show you default arguments. So for me, the better understanding with this was just about default arguments. So what we can do is a better explanation is this function is you can pass default functions here within the name of the function versus going through the task and then naming them later. Next up, we're going to go over lambdas. This is a little confusing for some people. I know that in Java there is a concept of lambdas, and it just came out. I want to say Java 8, but it's been around for a while, especially higher functional programming, which is one of the early languages I learned 20 something years ago. But it's still there. So this one was really this is where I really get a little stumped with some of the Kotlin Koans. But we're gonna work you through it. So we'll definitely get some help. This one is just go. We'll just go through it. So this one is Kotlin supports a functional style of programming, and then you can read about higher order functions, literals, which is lambdas, in Kotlin. So to get this to pass this cone, so we need to pass a lambda to any function, which is this one right here, to check if the collection contains an even number. The function any gets a predicate as an argument and returns true if there's at least one element that's satisfying the predicate. So for here, I was trying to understand this one. So I knew, like from previous things, to get rid of that. I knew that it's to determine if something is even, which is what the question had, that it has to be divided by 2. So I just took that. But here's the tricky part, where I didn't understand what to put here. Like I wanted to just declare a variable, like I, and it threw errors, which is what it's doing. So then I started reading the higher order functions, which was here. So this was explaining about the fold method, which took me a few times to read. Then it showed me about these arrows, which the lambdas. I always considered that. So it really was a little difficult. So I see these are expressions. So these are for me, like A and B. You would for this one is like lambda expression. You take value A, value B. I'm sending you that. I want you to, anytime you take this function, add these together. That's how I read these along. So int C that so it overrides does something. So with this one, it was a little bit of a challenge, and the tricky part was knowing that it was what it was asking for. Oops. Maybe I can learn to use the shift key. So it is what so for this one, I read it. If you read this one, if your collection contains a boolean in any part of the collection that is even, then return that number. So it makes sense when you read it all the way across. So let's see how that works. Bam, I've screwed that one up. So it's probably something that I wrote here. So what I usually do is if I don't know, I'm like, okay, there's probably so it divided by 2 equals 0. That's where I messed up. So it divided by 2. So now that makes sense. So fun container collection. If your container contains a container of collection contains a even number, which you can figure out like this is it divided by 2, which gives you an even number. That'll equal 0. Then return that number. Let me check. Correct. So again, a lot of tricky things here. So for first one, it was like this: the higher order functions. It doesn't. It goes in and just tells you what a function is returning, but at the same time, this answer didn't require like the use of the arrows, but it did give you this like this expression right here that this is going to return an even number. This it was also something that was new to me, so just be careful for that for your next challenge. In this next cone, we're going to go over strings. Now we're going to read about the different string patterns, literals, and templates here in the documentation. Kotlin has two strings, a literal, and a next one is a template. So print line, print these strings. Arbitrary curly braces. So it didn't give a lot of information on this one, especially if we look at what the cone is asking for. The cone is asking for us to, using the month variable, which is here, rewrite this pattern in such a way that it matches the date in format June 13th, 13th of June, 1992. So I know that this goes away because we learned that earlier. I know that this is the pattern that I'm going to try to copy. Save me some time, put it there. And I know that this pattern, delivers this. So I know that I'm halfway there. So what I'm going to do, to save me some time, is get rid of that. And get rid of that. Because those are the dots. I don't need those. So I know that I need the month. Be careful on this one, because I was trying to figure out when I first did it how to get the actual month of June to be displayed, but that's not what the question really wants. They just want the... For this next Koans video, we're going to talk about data classes, and this is where Kotlin really shines. So in this cone, so add an annotation data to the resulting class. This annotation means the compiler will generate a bunch of useful methods in this class. So equals a hash code to string and some others. The get people should start the compile. So first we realize that we need to copy this or redo this, rewrite the following code in Kotlin. So we know it's a class. So we're going to go read about classes and how you build a class. Kotlin, so invoice. So it looks like brackets. So my first thing is like, oh, okay, I'm going to make a bracket. I also know that I'm going to have to declare some variables. Well, they're called values. So my trusty brackets, val. So I know it's probably going to be name. And then we're going to do the Kotlin version. So it's the name. So you do the variable name or value name, and then what kind of attribute it is. So in this case, name is a string. Name, colon, string, and it's comma. Then the next one we're going to need is val, age, colon, int. Thank you. Ooh, we're getting an error. All right, let's go to the properties. So the next one they ask us to look at. So in this class properties, they call it var. But this is a function too, so they call it val. So it's different. So got to understand when to use var, when to use val. So it looks like initially I could use a prototype. Property type is optional. So use the var keyword or read only using the val keyword. So these are going to be read only. We don't want them to be set. So I think that's what we said. So it doesn't say. So now let's go read the last one, which was data classes. So data classes, if we go to the very top, create such standard function are often mechanically derivable from the data. So this is a data class. It is marked as data, so I will update my class there. Looks like something is throwing me an error. Property must be initialized or extract, so something's not right. So, oh, there it is. So I started out, because the classes uses, sometimes it uses, oh, no, it always uses that. That's my bad. Yeah, I messed that one up completely. It's not brackets, it's parentheses. It's not person P. So fix that one there. Fix that one there. Looks like I got everything that I need. Name, age. So it should start populating by itself. Check, check, double check. Check, check, check. Oh, yep. Battery's running low. Perfect. I got it correct. So this one was a great exercise on how much easier this is compared to this. So thank you very much for listening. Stay tuned for some more Kotlin Thursdays and Kotlin Koans.